Today we come to the end of Exodus chapter 15. Let's just pick it up at verse 21. Sing to the Lord, he is highly exalted, both horse and driver he is hurled into the sea. We notice that the song of Exodus 15 starts and ends on the same note. There we see verse 1, both horse and driver he is hurled into the sea. But immediately after this, then Moses led Israel from the Red Sea, and they went to the desert of Shur. For 3 days they traveled in the desert without finding water. When they came to Marah, they could not drink its water because it was bitter. That is why the place is called Marah. So the people grumbled against Moses, saying, "What are we to drink?" Then Moses cried unto the Lord, and the Lord showed him a piece of wood. He threw it into the water, and the water became fit to drink. Then the Lord issued a ruling and instruction for them, put them to test. He said, "If you listen carefully to the Lord your God and do what is right in his eyes, if you pay attention to his commands and keep all his decrees, I will not bring on you any of the diseases I brought on the Egyptians. I am the Lord who heals you." Then they came to Elim, where there were 12 springs and 70 palm trees, and they camped there near the water. What I'm going to look at in this video is the contrast between the singing at the start of the chapter and the complaining at the end of the chapter. And it reminds us that how quickly we change, even as Christians, in our outlook and our focus, and that's what we see in this passage. Exodus 15, Israel stands on the shore of the Red Sea, and I'm sure it was an amazing scene as they sang their hearts out, and one of the greatest songs in Scripture is recorded. The Lord is my strength and my song. He has become my salvation. At that moment, God was everything to them: strength, joy, deliverance. Their praise was pure and unforced. They weren't singing about Moses or themselves. Their eyes were completely on God. But only a few verses later, as we read, something shifts. After 3 days in the wilderness without water, Exodus 15, verse 24 says, the people complained or grumbled against Moses. How do people who were singing become people who are complaining so quickly? And even that is a lesson for me and you, how quickly we change. First of all, their praise was real, but their memory was short. Just days earlier, they had declared, "The Lord is my strength." Now faced with difficulty, they act as if God had vanished. This same pattern appears throughout Scripture. Psalm 106, Israel is praised for believing God the Red Sea, but soon forgot his works. The heart's greatest struggle is not singing, it is remembering. When we forget who God has been, fear fills the empty space. Secondly, their eyes shifted from God to circumstances. During the song, their focus was entirely on the Lord. He has become my salvation. But in the wilderness, their focus shifted to the bitter water at Marah. Instead of praying, they panicked, and instead of trusting, they complained. We can contrast this with their earlier praise and attitude. The Lord has triumphed gloriously. And now we read, what shall we drink? The same God who split the sea could sweeten the water. But when circumstances grow hard, they saw their lack instead of God's power. Thirdly, their song was meant to sustain them, not just celebrate the moment. When God gives us a song, whether joy, gratitude, fresh faith, it's not only for the mountaintop, it's also for the valley and the dry places. David understood, the Lord is my strength and my song. It appears in Psalm 118, verse 14. He used the song not just to celebrate God's victory, but to steady his heart in trouble. Songs of praise are meant to become anchors. Israel celebrated, but they didn't carry this song into the wilderness with them. And if we're honest, we do pretty much the same in our lives. We can worship with sincerity on the weekend, and on Sunday and worry with intensity by Wednesday. We can declare God is my strength and crumble at the first sign of difficulty. But God invites us to let the truth of the song shape our response to hardship. If the Lord is our strength, we don't face trouble alone. If the Lord is our song, joy can rise even in dry season. If the Lord has become our salvation, then no circumstance is too difficult for his hand. And so as we close, as you walk through your own wilderness moments, ask yourself, am I living out the song or out of the circumstances? The God who brought Israel to the Red Sea is the same God who walked with them into the desert, and he walks with you today. So let this be your declaration, not just in moments of victory, but in moments of uncertainty. The Lord is my strength and my song, and has become my salvation. And we know this God did provide for his people. And of course then we read in the last verse that they camped at Elim, the place of 12 springs. Thank you for listening.